Lovely Runner follows a young woman named Sol, who has just been in an accident and is lying in a hospital bed. Depressed and suicidal as everyone else in her ward gets excited about the upcoming solar eclipse. Once her mom leaves the room, Sol grabs a shard from the broken vase on the floor in order to hurt herself. However, as Sol is bringing the shard to her wrist, her phone rings. It's a call from the radio show that is playing. Sol was selected to get a call from Ryu Sun-Jae, a member of the idol band Eclipse. Lashing out on the phone, Sun-Jae's warm words managed to calm Sol down and give her the strength to carry on. Fast forward to the present, and Sol, still confined to a wheelchair, has become a huge fan of Eclipse and specifically Sun-Jae, whose photos she has plastered around her room and whose childhood watch she bought for a hefty price at auction. On the day of Eclipse's concert, the band's first concert in 5 years, Sol is thrilled. And despite losing a job interview due to her disability and even, devastatingly, losing her concert ticket, Sol gets emotional listening to the concert from outside the venue, especially when she hears Sun-Jae perform Sonagi, the song that made her a fan all those years ago in the hospital. Making her way home from the concert, Sol, who just can't seem to catch a break, ends up getting stranded in the snow when her electric wheelchair runs out of battery on the Han-Gong River Bridge. But then, shivering and cold, Sol gets the surprise of a lifetime when she sees none other than Sun-Jae getting out of his car to help her. Although she can't take Sun-Jae up on his offer to drive her home since her friend happens to show up at that very moment, when Sol gets home, she is overjoyed. However, that night, after getting back to his hotel, Sun-Jae, burned out from his work and overwhelmed by his depression, takes his own life by jumping from his balcony into the hotel pool stories below. Hearing the news, Sol is devastated and rushes to the hospital. Racing in her wheelchair, Sol trips and accidentally pushes a button on Sun-Jae's watch. Suddenly, time stops and the world turns upside down. When Sol wakes up again, looking around, she realizes that she has somehow time-traveled back to 2008. Determined to change Sun-Jae's tragic future, Sol runs out of her classroom and heads straight to where he's training to be a professional swimmer. To Sun-Jae's massive surprise, Sol, seeing him alive and well, runs over and hugs him. Confused by Sol's strange behavior, Sun-Jae starts to think that she might be delusional. When, the next day, Sun-Jae shares his umbrella with Sol, she can't help but be reminded of the future. This leaves her feeling overwhelmed and disoriented, which in turn confuses Sun-Jae, who wonders what on earth has happened to his neighbor. Yes, that's right. Sun-Jae and Sol actually used to be neighbors, although Sol had never noticed him back then. Instead, Sol had been crushing on the bad boy, Taesung, who had never paid much attention to her. Meanwhile, the current Sol, stuck in her teenage self's body, has decided that the pressure and stress of being an idol must have been what killed Sun-Jae. So, Sol starts by warning Sun-Jae about the competition that she knows will end his promising swimming career. However, every time she mentions the future, time stops, which forces Sol to come up with some creative methods of getting her message across, like pretending she has had a prophetic warning. All of this strange behavior just makes Sun-Jae more and more curious about Sol. As it turns out, Sun-Jae had actually had a crush on Sol since he was younger, falling for her after she'd run into him one day during a rain shower, or Sonagi, mistaking him for a delivery man. What's more, on the day of his death in the present, Sun-Jae had a photo of him and Sol in his hotel room. Promising to take home the gold medal for his swimming competition, Sun-Jae secretly plans to confess his feelings to Sol after he wins. Thinking that she has changed his fate, when Sun-Jae wins the competition, Sol is over the moon, and they end up going on an unofficial date where they take the photo booth photos that Sun-Jae has in his room the day he dies. Despite trying to confess his feelings for her, Sol unintentionally turns Sun-Jae down when she misunderstands the situation and friend-zones him. At the same time, Sun-Jae hears from the doctor that he needs another shoulder surgery, ending his swimming career, just like Sol had predicted. Caring for Sun-Jae after his surgery, one night, a drunk Sol follows him to school where, seeing her cute actions, Sun-Jae confesses his feelings, and they kiss. However, the next day, Sol can't remember anything from the night before, and instead, just as Taesung asks her out, Sol is shoved back to the future. With current Sol in the future, Sun-Jae is devastated to see teenage Sol accept Taesung's confession and start dating him. At the same time, having returned to the present, current Sol is heartbroken to see that Sun-Jae is still dead, and she hasn't saved him. Desperate to change the past, Sol finds the watch and once again goes back to the past. However, in this past, she is now dating Taesung, who is also confused since he fell for the current Im-sol from the future and not the teenage Im-sol he has found himself dating. Despite her efforts to reconnect with Sun-Jae, he pushes Im-sol away. The closer she gets, the more annoyed Sun-Jae becomes about the fact that Im-sol is dating Tae-sung. At the same time, Im-sol is also trying her best to make sure that Sun-Jae doesn't become a musician. For example, when Sun-Jae gets the business card of the executive from his future record label, Im-sol sneaks into his bedroom to destroy it, only to fall asleep under his bed. Finding Im-sol, Sun-Jae can't help but fall for her even more. One day, when Sun-Jae rescues Im-sol from drowning, she suddenly realizes that he was the one who had saved her life all those years ago in the accident that left her paralyzed. Filled with gratitude, Im-sol vows to save his life in return. Over the next few days, as Im-sol tries to get close to Sun-Jae, they bond as they start walking to school together and bury a time capsule to be opened on the day that Sun-Jae is destined to die. Tae-sung, on the other hand, is getting more and more jealous, leading to a rivalry between the boys. When Sun-Jae ends up singing at a band performance, he impresses everyone except Im-sol, who, anxious about his future as a musician, lashes out and urges him to be selfish and not endure hardships alone. Of course, referring to the depression that led to his death in the present, although past Sun-Jae has no idea. The next day, when Sun-Jae saves Im-sol from another accident, he surprises her by asking if he can be selfish and if she would break up with Tae-sung. At the same time, hearing the recording of Sun-Jae's confession that night at the school when she was drunk, Im-sol is dumbstruck. Sun-Jae liked her? So, Im-sol goes to meet Tae-sung, and they break up. Sun-Jae, thrilled by this development, confesses his feelings to Im-sol after they stop by a baseball street cheering event. However, Im-sol doesn't have time to respond as Tae-sung, who is in the hospital after a motorbike accident, suddenly calls to tell Im-sol that her mother is sick. At the hospital, Im-sol rejects Sun-Jae's confession. There's no point in getting into a relationship with Sun-Jae, just to break his heart when she inevitably goes back to the future. Skip forward to the day of the fated accident, and Im-sol is resolved to stay indoors. Despite her determination, when Sun-Jae texts her saying he has something to tell her, and she sees him walking to the park, Im-sol rushes to go meet him in the rain. However, she never makes it to the park, and Sun-Jae only finds her abandoned umbrella. Sun-Jae, realizing Im-sol is missing, rushes to her home and then to the police station. Meanwhile, Im-sol barely manages to escape the creepy cab driver Kim Young-soo, who had, in her previous accident, kidnapped her and tried to kill her before Sun-Jae showed up and saved her, although her family thinks she was just in a car accident. Similarly, in this timeline, Sun-Jae spots her just in time, and a passing car saves her from Young-soo. Passing out, Im-sol wakes up again in the present. Although she has come back to the current day, this time, Im-sol can walk and is working in the film industry. And guess what? Sun-Jae is alive. He is not only alive, but he is a thriving idol. Im-sol has successfully stopped his death. Through a series of misunderstandings, Im-sol accidentally gets mistaken for being a stalker. But luckily, her job gives her an opportunity to clear the air when she is tasked with convincing Sun-Jae to sign on to the movie that her company is making. On the day of Sun-Jae's concert, the two magically connect again on the same bridge, and, determined to protect him from his fate of dying that evening, Im-sol shocks Sun-Jae and his manager by asking him to spend the night with her. In a flashback, we see how this timeline's Sun-Jae had never forgotten about Im-sol and had even dug up their time capsule, after which he was touched by her letter and the watch inside. Determined not to leave Sun-Jae's side that night, Im-sol and Sun-Jae, after catching up at a hotel bar, end up at Sun-Jae's luxury apartment, inevitably leading to a bunch of hilarious shenanigans, especially when In-hyuk, Sun-Jae's childhood best friend and a member of Eclipse, barges in, and, not knowing that Im-sol is hiding in the cupboard, exposes how Sun-Jae hasn't been able to forget her, and how he has never been able to date anyone else. By the end of the night, Im-sol admits to Sun-Jae that she misses him, and has feelings for him, and they share a kiss. Over the next few days, Im-sol and Sun-Jae can't stop thinking about each other and plan to meet up. But, in an ugly twist of fate, before they can meet again, Sun-Jae is attacked by Young-soo, who, out of prison, stabs him with a knife, leaving Im-sol shocked and horrified. After a lot of searching, Im-sol, set on going back to the past and setting everything right again, finds Sun-Jae's watch. Traveling back, Im-sol wakes up, this time as a college student. It turns out she and Sun-Jae went to the same college. On a school trip, Im-sol tries to avoid Sun-Jae, but when she gets drunk, Sun-Jae, carrying her on his back, hears her mumbling about being from the future and is shocked to hear her sing Sonagi, a song that, at this point, he had only written down. The next day, Sun-Jae, puzzled by the whole situation, confronts Im-Sol, who compares her time traveling to the Terminator movie. Skeptical and tired of all the confusion, Sun-Jae listens to her story, but despite it all, he decides to leave for the US, where his father, with Im-Sol's encouragement, had arranged for physical therapy for his shoulder, which might mean that Sun-Jae can swim again. On her way home from the airport, where she secretly went to see Sun-Jae's plane take off, Im-Sol spots a truck similar to Young-Soo's and, while running away, runs into none other than Sun-Jae. Almost fainting from shock and surprise, Sun-Jae hugs her and, showing her the contents of the time capsule, tells her that he knows that she is not only from a future in which he will most likely die, but also that she likes him. Promising that he doesn't care if he dies for her in the future, Sun-Jae begs Im-Sol to stop running away from her heart, and they kiss. As a new couple, Im-Sol and Sun-Jae don't spend a second apart, going on dates and being giggly. However, her sunny mood is spoiled when Im-Sol hears that Young-Soo has escaped after being arrested by Tae-Sung's dad, who is the main detective chasing the psycho. But with both Tae-Sung, who still has feelings for her even if he has to suppress them for Sun-Jae's sake, and Sun-Jae on the case, Im-Sol allows herself to relax as the friends all go visit In-hyuk in his idyllic seaside hometown. Despite a series of fun escapades, including catching the world's cutest goat when it escapes, and a situation where Tae-Sung's treasured brand-new car accidentally rolls into the ocean, Im-Sol is haunted by strange new memories that she doesn't recognize. Sensing that something in the timeline has shifted, by the end of their trip, Im-Sol fakes returning to the past and stays behind while the others return to Seoul. If anyone is going to take on Young-Soo, it is going to be her. It so happens that Young-Soo found out that Im-Sol was by the coast and had followed her there. Calling Tae-Sung's father, Im-Sol comes up with a plan to trap Young-Soo. At the same time, Sun-Jae, who realizes that Im-Sol hasn't gone to the future, frantically goes to search for her. Despite trying to save her, Sun-Jae, rushing in to rescue Im-Sol, ends up ruining her trap. Im-Sol, once again, has to stand and watch as Young-Soo attacks Sun-Jae, before, this time, pushing him off the cliff. Deciding that the only way for Sun-Jae to survive is to destroy their connection, Im-Sol goes back to the past one more time, and, instead of meeting Sun-Jae for the first time, she avoids him. As a result, when Im-Sol wakes up in the present, only she remembers their memories. Satisfied to see Sun-Jae alive and working as a top actor, even if he doesn't remember her, Im-Sol lives her life and befriends Tae-Sung, who is now working as a police officer. Frustrated when her job forces her to deal with a spoiled actor, a drunk Im-Sol furiously writes out a fiery resignation letter. However, not planning on sending the letter, Im-Sol is shocked to learn, after her boss decides to invest in her movie idea based on her time-traveling adventures, that she has accidentally given her boss her resignation letter. Going to get the letter back, Im-Sol sneaks into an award show that her boss is attending and runs into, you'll never guess, Sun-Jae. When Sun-Jae later gets sent Im-Sol's movie role proposal by accident, reading her script, he is brought to tears and can't tell why. Sun-Jae is immediately bent on playing the main role. When Im-Sol insists that she can't work with Sun-Jae, to her boss and Sun-Jae's complete confusion and bewilderment, the two of them end up thrown together in a series of unforeseen circumstances, including getting stuck in a Ferris wheel together. While stuck in the air, Im-Sol is suddenly struck by an intense fever, forcing Sun-Jae to bring her to his apartment. While she is battling her fever, Sun-Jae is shocked to hear her call his name, and his heart flutters when she, in her sleep, grabs his hand. Meanwhile, at the same time, Tae-Sung is investigating and tracing Young-Soo's movements after he tried to kidnap the young teenage girl who has been stalking Sun-Jae. Watching through hours of dashcam footage, Tae-Sung sees, firsthand, how Young-Soo has been stalking Im-Sol. Later, Sun-Jae starts to get more and more flashbacks to memories of his time with Im-Sol, leading to one night when he suddenly recalls all of the memories at once. At the same time, Tae-Sung and Young-Soo are in the middle of an intense car chase. When Tae-Sung sees Young-Soo coming after Sun-Jae, who is wobbling in the street, he crashes into his car and chases after him on foot. Sun-Jae collapses on the street. As Young-Soo tries to run away, he ends up getting hit by a white truck and falling into the river, he dies. As for Im-Sol hearing about the accident on the taxi radio, her mind instantly jumps to Sun-Jae. She must find out if he's okay. Rushing to each other, Sun-Jae and Im-Sol reunite, and she is shocked to learn that he has gotten their memories back. With Young-Soo dead and Sun-Jae with his memories back, Sun-Jae and Im-Sol start dating. Despite the struggles that come with dating a megastar, Sun-Jae and Im-Sol make the perfect couple, and he supports her as she chases her dream of becoming a director. While Im-Sol is working to direct her movie, Sun-Jae is at the same time planning his marriage proposal. eventually proposing beneath the cherry blossom tree that they had kissed under in college. Lovely Runner ends with both Sun-Jae and Im Sol happily in love and planning a future together.